Her Excellency, the Vice President of Uganda, His Lordship, the Chief Justice, the Minister of Gender, other ministers, members of Parliament, the family of the late Museveni Osman, the cultural leaders who are here or their delegates, the members of the Teso Cultural Union, and all people who are here and those who are listening. Yesterday I was coming from, but before I talk about, I normally get some confusion with our Christian groups, because in the other group, the Church of Uganda group, they taught me that when I pray, I kneel down and I close my eyes. Now, when I come here with the Catholics, they stand up. So when I'm kneeling down, they are standing. So very sorry about that. There is this joint Christian council. Well, I don't want to interfere with the religious matters. I've got enough work. But I don't know whether they cannot tell us how do we pray. Do we stand up or do we kneel down? Which is, who decides this? Is it part of the doctrine of the churches or what? But very sorry, I was sitting. I can't kneel. Kneeling is not easy. So I sit down at this age. I used to kneel when I was young. But I was sitting down and others were standing up. Then I would close my eyes. Very sorry about that poor coordination, but now yesterday I flew from Dakar, Senegal, to here. And there was wind behind us, behind the plane. It took us 7 hours and 7 minutes. And I think if the wind had been against us, it would have taken 8 hours. And you are not even at the end of Africa, you are just in the middle here. Because if I was continuing going to South Africa, I would have taken maybe another 5 hours. So that would have been a total of 12 hours or 13 hours. Now this is Africa. Africa is huge, great, with everything. Everything is here. The rivers, the forests, everything. And we are the oldest human beings. All human beings started here. We are the source of the human species. So therefore, the problem of Africa has just been governance. Governance. Not natural resources, no, those are plenty. But governance, how are we managed politically? Now, the NRM is a group which came along here in Uganda because of what was going on. And we came in after a bit of study as the student movement, and we came to some conclusions which made us to embark on a long journey, a serious journey, of trying to change the destiny of Ugandans, ourselves here in Uganda, but also in some contribution to the change in Africa. And in all that, we saw 3 points. Number one, prosperity. How can the people of Africa, of Uganda, be prosperous? Be prosperous in a modern way. Because being prosperous in the modern way means you produce something, either a good or a service, and you sell it, you market it. That's where prosperity comes from. Prosperity cannot come from begging, from anything else, but through production of goods and services and marketing them. Secondly, security. When I was going to these places where I went recently, we were discussing about security. Because security in Africa now is bad. Problems in Mali, problems in Guinea-Conakry, problems in Burkina Faso, problems in Chad, problems in Togo. Here in Congo, you have been seeing what was going on there. In Somalia, conflicts in Sudan, in Ethiopia. So the second point of emphasis of the NRM over these years has been the issue of strategic security. Now the third point has been the issue of brotherhood. Has been the issue of brotherhood. Because we realized that in order to achieve number one and number two, to achieve prosperity and security, we must emphasize the brotherhood of the African people. This is the line of the NRM all these years, from the 1960s. So therefore, for us, we are on a long journey. The NRM has been on a long journey from those student days to the days of the resistance. Whatever we do is deliberate and well thought out. And therefore, we assess everything and everybody according to how they relate to that. If you are going to help us in the 3 areas, we work with you. Prosperity, security, but how do you achieve this? Through brotherhood of the African people. Because the brotherhood enables you to create markets. Markets, when you produce something, where do you sell it? The one who buys what you produce is supporting your prosperity. So the integration of the market of Uganda, of East Africa, of Africa is very crucial. Then with that market, we can access other markets in other parts of the world. So therefore, when we deal with people and deal with the events, we assess them against that minzani. Now, when it came to kingships, when we restored the kingships, we studied this. You know, the kingdoms had been abolished because there was a feeling that the kingdoms were against the unity of Africa and the unity of Uganda, which is partly true. If you misuse the kingdoms, they can be that. They can be negative. However, our analysis was that no, yes, they can be negative, but if they are used properly, they can actually play a contributory role. Because after all, as I said at the beginning, the problem of Africa has been governance. when people were being governed by clans only. Now you hear the Teso tried to get somebody to coordinate some of the clans. That's what Professor Omaswa said, that Emorimor was to coordinate some of the clans. Was it all the clans of the Teso or how many? That one I will get time to know. Maybe you can clarify later when you are speaking later. How many clans was the Emorimor before colonialism coordinating? Because we know that areas which did not have kings, had only clans, they had more wars, more inter-clan wars than the ones which had kings. For instance, in Ankole, by the time the British came, there were no more inter-clan wars. Those were no longer there. Why? Because the king had now become the arbitrator. If somebody does something wrong to me, then I go to the king arbitrates and solves the problem, instead of me going to kill the other person because he has killed my brother. But the problem was that when the power went from the clans to the tribes, then the tribes kept on fighting one another. Instead of having inter-clan wars, you now had inter-tribal wars, which were part of the weakness. And that's what the Europeans used to conquer us. Why was Africa conquered by the Europeans? It was mainly because these kings were busy fighting one another, and the Europeans would use one group against the other one. So therefore, it is true that the kings contributed to the three points: prosperity, strategic security, but to a limited extent. They did not go far enough. That's why Africa was colonized. But when we came, our analysis was that no, if the institutions are handled well, they can play a role, and also to recognize symbolically the contribution of the cultural institutions in improving governance. Because remember, the issue is governance. The issue is governance. When the clans are alone, governance is more difficult. When they are coordinated, governance improves. But the problem is that the tribes did not go far enough in integration. They remained with the inter-tribal wars. And my people from Bunyoro, they're always talking about Kabarega and so on. One day invite me and I will tell you why Kabarega was defeated. You should invite me one of these days. Because I am, there were some limitations in what those people were doing. So therefore, for us, we said no. These kingdoms, first of all, let's recognize the contribution they made by going from clan to tribe, because this was a step forward. But the problem was that they should have gone beyond the tribe to higher level of integration. If they had done that, they would never have been defeated. Because that's what happened in Ethiopia. Why did the Ethiopians defeat the Europeans? The Europeans defeated, the Ethiopians defeated the Europeans in 1896 at Adwa, because they united not just the clans, but also the tribes. The Oromo, the Amhara, the Tigray, they were united by Emperor Menelik. That's how they defeated the Europeans. The Japanese, why were the Japanese not conquered? The Europeans wanted to conquer Japan, but they couldn't. Because the emperor had united those Japanese people. Even China. When the Europeans went to China, they wanted to conquer China. They tried, they captured Hong Kong, they captured Macau, but they couldn't swallow the whole of China. Why? Because China was united. They were inferior in technology, but united. And that unity was able to. So therefore for us, by restoring the kings, we said, number one, we must salute that contribution of the cultural institutions to go from clan level to tribal level. Even the areas which did not have kings proper, in the other sense, you had this Emorimor. And even the Langi, my elder brother, that role, he explained to me, it had a historical role of coordination of the clans. Now, secondly, we are to deal with the issue of identity of the Africans. Me, as a political leader, I cannot easily have time to struggle for the survival of the African languages. Yes, I'm busy with the roads, with the corona, so how would I get time to fight for the survival of the languages? Now, if the languages die, what do we become? Do we become black Europeans? Or what? Is that good? So for us, we said no. Number one, we need to salute that contribution by the institutions in trying to improve governance through integration from clan to tribe. Secondly, who will look after the language? Who will look after the customs? That you shouldn't marry your sister. That you are walking in the bus park and you see somebody and you fall on first sight that you are falling in love. First sight, you fall in love, first sight. You don't know the background of this person. What if they are witch doctors in their family? If they are night dancers? You can see some risks in these concepts which these people bring. That I was walking on the road, I saw somebody and I felt like fainting. Because of love. Now, what sort of life is that? You don't have any due when you are buying the ground nuts, you are buying what? You do due diligence. You check, are these ground nuts from a good... Now, here, just falling in love on first sight, you may end up with a cannibal in your house. But who can help us follow up? Oh, that girl is from the other clan, they are like this. Who can do that? The political leaders cannot do that. The political leaders cannot do that. So that's why we thought that apart from the historical contribution, the issue of the language and of the customs now. But in any case, the cultural institutions can help us promote integration. Because the way Africa was messed up, the boundaries were made carelessly. They just came and you are now British, you are now French, you are now what? Now, these cultural institutions can actually help us link cross-border with the other African people. You are saying that Kenyans are different from Ugandans. But there are Bateso in Kenya. There are Bagisu in Kenya. There are Samyas in Kenya. There are Akaramojong in Kenya. There are Pokot in Kenya. How can you say Kenya has no connection with Uganda? Or Uganda has no connection with Congo? So we could see that this institution could also do that. And then also on a dynamic culture, because it is wrong for us to talk of culture in a static way. That because of Wanyankore, we are drinking milk without boiling it, we should continue drinking milk without boiling it. Yes, the Wanyankore were drinking milk without boiling it from the cow. From you put in the milk pot and you drink. Because they didn't have enough information that milk, they thought the milk was all right. They didn't know there were some germs in the milk which you couldn't see with your eyes. For them, they would look for a grass which has fallen in the milk or something, what they call ectocos, what you can see with your eye, but there are germs you can't see with your eyes. Now, this new information must pass to the people. Say, oh, we are drinking milk without boiling it because we didn't know we must now boil the milk to kill the germs. So the culture must change. But change in a rational way, a rational, reasonable, and purposeful way. So therefore, we thought the cultural leaders could also help us there. You know what your people believe in historically, but you know what science has brought out. For instance, this marriage, underage marriage, this is traditional. Because people believe that once a girl has gone into menstruation, then that is, she's mature now. They had some points, menstruation and so on, a number of points, which they were guiding them. But now, information is coming that scientifically, that's not enough for a girl to be mature. So who can help us to transition these people from the old science to the new science? The cultural leader can play a role here. So this is why we restored these cultural institutions. Now, I want to, when I assess the late Museveni Osuban, he passes with flying marks on all these points. I don't have the slightest complaint against him. I first came to know him when he came to see me in Entebbe. You know, when I first came in the government, most of the government people were older than me. Civil servants, permanent secretaries, they were all older than me. So I saw this slightly older man than me. There is a word my Bateso could not pronounce, Kadugara. Kadugara, I think this was like a nickname given to him when he was in school because he was very, very dark in color. Kadugara is the Bantu word for dark, for black. I think it must have been a school nickname. I don't think it was his original name. So he came, and I saw this slightly older man than me. I said, what are you doing? I'm the Commissioner of Agriculture. Oh, that's how I started working with him. And we went on working, and you can see he was older than us. Our Minister of State, Secretary Eko, Vicky, you remember Vicky? She was the minister. I was the president. And this commissioner was older than us. We are his juniors in age, but we were working together. So later on, when he went to become Emorimor, he played his role very well. First of all, he united the Tesos, the Itesot. You know, the Itesot are also quite quarrelsome. So when you hear that somebody has succeeded in uniting them, it's not a small job. So not only did he unite the Teso here of Uganda, of the other Teso, of Parisa, Bukedi, Tororo, but even the ones of Kenya, and even brought the other Ateker. You can hear that he even went all the way up to Ethiopia. And I remember one time I attended a function at it must be Kumi, where there were the Ateker. They were there. I came to a function there, including the Karamojong. With the Karamojong, you are killing one another with the Karamojong, but apparently these are your relatives who happily kill you for some reason. So, but I think the way Mzee Osman was working through these structures, even that inter-tribal conflict would have been handled. And then on the issue of development, I remember when he was trying to develop a project around the swamps. What was that project? He had brought a project in the swamps, an economic, agricultural prime minister. What was that? He was talking about it, the one of Agu, the areas of Agu. Huh? Come and tell us. Go to the microphone there. What was it?
Excellency, it was a sugarcane project.
Sugarcane?
Yes.
Sugarcane project?
Yes, please.
Yes. So you can see his ideas, and I remember it had some issues, but it was very well intentioned. So therefore, I am here to first of all say goodbye, but importantly to bear testimony to his contribution and his proper use of this role of traditional leadership, which others could emulate. We made it clear because we didn't want them we didn't want to repeat past mistakes, because part of the problem of Uganda was the clash between the central government and one of the kingdoms. And in the constitution, we made it very clear that cultural leaders are not to be involved in politics, partisan politics, to be involved in legislation or administration. It's clear in the constitution. Now, I have never heard that Mzee Osman was meddling with these issues of administration, of politics, of legislation. He was just doing his role. So I congratulate him, and I thank his family for giving us such a wonderful person to Uganda, because he played a role in all those in agriculture, now eventually in this cultural leadership. So therefore, there's one thing which I am not happy about. We are not funding these cultural institutions enough. And it's an embarrassment. I don't want to, I want the MPs to agree with me that we give the cultural institutions a bit more money and more facilitations. For instance, I normally give vehicles to the cultural leaders. But I would like a policy by the government. Somebody is given a vehicle, like for instance, 5 years. After that, automatically it is taken away and a new one is given to him, instead of waiting to write to the president as a donation. Because I'm now giving it these vehicles as a donation. It should be an entitlement, automatic, like every 5 years. Then maybe more allowance. I had proposed a figure which some people opposed. I don't know why, but I want to. This is the third time I'm going to present it. I want that figure to be approved. This is a figure which I proposed. I know it will be enough to look after the traditional leader, and the other structures can also use another part of it, what I had proposed. And also maybe one minibus for the cultural, and the Prime Minister should also get a vehicle, because it can help him. And finally, maybe there could be a minibus for to go with, in case the other staff to use, to share. And that will be enough for them to do, because we don't want you to form alternative government, but we want you to, because there is already a government, where did the government come from? From your children, the ones who elected. They elected the government. So therefore, your role is like my children. Once they have their families, my son has his wife, my daughter has her husband, I don't go to run their homes. No, I just wish them good luck and advice here and there, and concentrate on my job of teaching my grandchildren the language, like Mzee Osman was doing, advising the children. If we do that, the traditional institutions will add value to Uganda, which is now really coming up. So with these few words, again, I express my condolences to the family, to the Itesot, to the Ugandans, to the Ateker in other parts of Africa, and I wish the late Mzee Osman eternal rest in eternal life. Thank you very much.
I want to thank you so much, Your Excellency the President. We want to request you to perform on the two functions, Your Excellency, that there is a wreath, and His Excellency the President will be the only one to lay a wreath, and also sign against the portrait of the late Osman. And thereafter, he will take a photograph with the Vice President and the family of His Royal Highness Emorimor Papa Teso. So, Excellency, you may wish to lay the wreath and sign against the portrait, and thereafter a group photograph. But we want to recognize some of the dignitaries that had brought their wreath. To sign against the portrait of His Royal Highness Emorimor Papa Teso. And I want to invite Your Excellency the Vice President, the Chairman, the Prime Minister, of the culture of the Teso Culture Institution, the Minister of Gender, Labor and Social Development, and the family, represented by Mama Toto among you. And the other members of the family. Picture with His Excellency the President. I want to take this opportunity to recognize that we have been all along with the Lordship, the Chief Justice Owonyedolo, and also with us was Honorable Michael Mukula, the Chairman Eastern Region, Honorable Okasai Okolot, Minister of State for Energy, also with us. The Chief Justice Owonyedolo will join the President in taking the photograph. As organize ourselves, as the family organizes themselves to take the photograph with us in the presence of the President, we do recognize and appreciate the wreath that came in. One was from the Chief Justice, His Lordship Owonyedolo. The other wreath came from the Teso Youth, and another wreath was from the Teso Students Association. Thank you for standing with the family, and I want to thank you all mourners for coming to give an official befitting send-off to Papa Emorimor of Late Teso, Augustine Museveni, After this, we shall play anthems in the reverse order, and thereafter, departure will follow